don't panic, take a breath. Obviously, it's a challenging time for the industry. The significant increases in the cost of carbide around the world has had impacts in terms of instability of pricing for our customers, decisions on how they actually stabilise that. Do they invest in months of inventory when they don't even know where the prices are going to end up is obviously creating uncertainty. At some point, the market will stabilise. We're already starting to see some signs of that, of the market stabilisation. There's been a correction in the market in terms of supply and demand. To increase supply, there is going to be more mines being opened up and more material processed. But that takes time and it will cost more than what we had in previously. It's going to be a competitive world out there, and as people are increasing the cost of their tooling, will they be able to increase the price proportionally to what they're paying in raw material now? And that is going to be a challenge. So being able to improve the efficiency through your production allows you to absorb some of the cost of carbide whilst maintaining your margins. So that means that the competitiveness of your production is critical to your success. So looking at things like how you can streamline your operations, whether it's through automation, whether it's through process stability, less scrap, improving the electricity consumption, anything to drive efficiencies or what we call lower cost per tool. Okay, so the cost of tooling is going to go up. So how do I offset this cost? So how do customers forward think about what their customers are looking for in terms of how to improve their tooling life, how to reduce their cost proportionally to the increase? It may be difficult to completely offset the cost, but definitely looking at things like the tool life, the different coatings, and the way that they actually manage their tools in terms of process in the machining side of things are all things that our customers should be thinking about. Typically, depending on the tool and the situation, the raw material takes up about 30 to 50% of the actual cost of that cutting tool. There is a large portion that is made up of other costs. So it is the depreciation, the electricity cost, the labour component of making that cutting tool. So if you can also focus on how you can reduce the cost of these other elements, that will have a bearing on the overall cost of that tool. And what you sell for minus that cost of the tool is your margin. It is important to focus on these things because these things are actually within your control. So let's just take a very basic example. This is very rudimentary. So let's say the cycle time of your cutting tool is 10 minutes. You run it one shift, 8 hours a day. If you save 30% on that cutting tool, so that's 3 minutes per cycle. So that's 18 minutes per hour. Times that by, let's say it's 10 to make it easier. That's $180 per day. Times that by six days a week. If you calculate it out, it would work out to be roughly about $40,000 to $50,000 on a one shift basis for that saving. We often work with our customers to optimise the cycle time of their cutting tools, and it varies depending on the application and the type of cutting tool, but fairly consistently we see around a 10 to 30% improvement in the cycle times of the majority of customers' cutting tools when working with them from an applications point of view. And I think that's become easier with our latest release of software products, especially the Feed Rate Optimizer, but also a number of other types of options to ensure that they achieve that type of result. We have just released an upgrade to our robot loader that goes on our machines. There's a number of exciting features within this product. So we're roughly seeing about a 3 to 5 second tool change improvement depending on the type of tool, which is a nice saving for our customers. another pathway for our customers to really reduce their cost and ensure that they are competitive in the environment of the increased cost of carbides is to invest in automation. On top of labour being scarce in many regions, having the ability to add factory automation through the space of those machines means that you can turn your labour into process improvement rather than just pushing a button, which means that you can continually get more and more efficient and have a lights out manufacturing process that prints you money. Some companies they can make some significant improvement in the productivity of their machines. And so that's a conversation with our application engineers on how to optimize the processes, what's some of the new products that we have, and just simply what's the best practice for setting up your machines these days to get the best outcome. You have the cost of running machine, you have the cost of when you purchase the machine if you haven't fully depreciated it yet. The more cutting tools you can produce on that machine and get out the door and sell to customers, the more you can spread that fixed cost over your cutting tools, which ultimately means that the actual cost of the cutting tool comes down.